All right. We are live, twitch.tv/taproom sports, youtube.com/at taproom sports podcast. If you guys are in the chat, let us know if there's any games you want us to hit. Obviously, the slate is like well over 50 games, so we aren't going to be able to hit them all, but glad to get the guys on. We've been discussing this for a couple weeks. We're going to usually do Wednesdays and maybe some Saturday mornings as well, but excited to talk with the guys. We haven't talked college hoops all year, so um, before we get into it, I got Jeff with me at jbuff73 on Twitter, and also Mr. Cheese at Mr. Joey Cheese on Twitter. Two sharp guys that I discuss a lot of sports with. And yeah, man, excited to have you guys here. Excited to talk some hoops. How we doing this morning, fellas?
Morning, boys.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning. Jordan, man, thanks for having us on, buddy. Yeah, obviously excited to talk hoops. You guys are two of the guys that, two of the few respected guys that I fuck with in this industry. So, yeah, excited to talk hoops. Hopefully find some winners today. Talk a little bit of shit about Syracuse coming up here in a few minutes. And hopefully we can all agree that UConn still wins the national championship. But yeah, thanks for having me on.
How you doing, Jeff?
I'll echo all of those comments except for the Syracuse, but yeah, happy to be on. Of course, I always enjoy talking sports with Joey and with Jordan, and college basketball is one of my favorite ones besides college football. And now that we started up with conference play in college basketball, things are starting to get interesting. We're starting to kind of see how teams like to play, and like Joey said, we'll probably, talk about a bunch of different topics and give out some winners. And hopefully people that are listening will be able to go to the window and cash some tickets. So I appreciate you having me on. And, me and Joey talk every day. So I'm sick of talking to Joey, but yeah, look forward to talking to you, Jordan.
Hell yeah. Well, first, before we get into any games, let's obviously I want to get into how the season's kind of played out up until this point, non-conference and going forward, and who are some of the obviously Joey's delusional and thinks UConn's gonna win the national title again, but what are some teams that you guys have been targeting futures wise, or kind of teams that you're looking for to make the Final Four, make a Final Four type run? What kind of teams are you guys looking at?
Go ahead, Buffy. Buffy, you can go first.
I'll go first. So I've made 3 wagers so far. All of them towards the beginning of the season, before all of those how been started. Michigan was one of them. I made a bet on Michigan to make the Final Four. I also made a bet on Michigan to win the whole thing. Wisconsin, I made a bet on Wisconsin to make the Final Four. I also made a bet on Wisconsin to win the whole thing. UC San Diego out west, I made a bet for UC San Diego to make the Final Four. And
Jesus.
Florida, I bet on Florida to win the whole thing. Those are 4 teams that I've made futures on. I think all 4 of those teams are pretty good. Obviously, UC San Diego is a far shot, but I like that team. I like the roster. They got a deep bench. They got shooters. They got depth. They got people in the paint. Obviously, we all seen what Florida can do. Florida, high pace, high tempo, lots of 3-point shooters, a couple big guys down low. Wisconsin, a big shocker for me this year. The way that they're playing, their style is totally different.
Yep.
They're getting up and down the floor. Their tempo is one of the top 20 in college basketball, which is totally unlike the way Wisconsin likes to play.
Yep.
They got shooters. They got a couple big guys. And then Michigan. We saw them in the holiday tournament. We saw what Michigan's capable of. They run a lot of high screen offense with pick and pops with their big guys. And both of their big guys can shoot the 3 ball. And, we saw what they did to UCLA a couple nights ago. I mean, they're just so hard to guard. They can take you down low when they have mismatches. They can shoot the 3. I mean, I'm not necessarily thinking that they're going to win the whole thing, but I think that they have a good shot. So those are 4 teams that I liked. I might make a few more throughout the year, but I, I think those 4 teams are playing good basketball.
Buff, what number did you get on Michigan?
Oh man, I can't remember. Hold on. Go to Joey or whatever, and I'll look on my phone.
Okay. Besides
so
UConn,
it's funny, Buff. So it's funny that you bring up Michigan, dude. Michigan could be a real sleeper here. I really like Danny Wolf. Obviously, it's no secret that Golden is an absolute monster down low. The dude shoots threes. He extends the floor. I think Michigan could, if they could really get things rolling here. I think they're a team that can make some noise come mid-March. No secret, diehard UConn fan. I still don't think UConn's dead. I know everyone was counting them out after Maui. But bottom line is when you have Daniel Hurley at the helm, anything is possible. This UConn team is still dangerous. The top echelon teams here in basketball are all filthy. Iowa State looks good. Obviously, the addition, Cooper Flag at Duke. I mean, Duke looks unbelievable. Their guard play has been absolutely second to none, ridiculous. Kentucky, another team that could score 100 on any given night. Alabama, wouldn't be shocked to see Bam Bam win it all. Hoops is wide open right now, man, Jordan, if you ask me. I think there's probably 3 or 4 definitive favorites and probably 10 teams right behind them that wouldn't shock me to see them make a deep run.
I agree with that. I think this is probably the most wide open we've seen. It's hard for me to go out and be like, do I see anyone beating Auburn? I don't know. I mean, they look really fucking good. I know they lost at Duke, but I mean that's a road spot. We kind of all expected them to lose that game, given the situation in the spot. And they're obviously, it's hard to go undefeated in college basketball nowadays. So. But, man, I really like that Auburn team. Bruce Pearl's he put a good squad together, and Jamari Broome looks like the best player in the country. My one thing about Michigan, I like the way Michigan plays, but they turn the ball over so goddamn much, dude. They just boneheaded plays, dude. And that's what concerns me in, a one-game elimination. They could have a game with 20-plus turnovers, and it's going to fucking kill them, dude. And that's what really concerns me. I only made one future before the season this year, and it was Oregon to win it all, and I got them at plus 10,000. It's down to plus 5,000 now. It looked really good for the first month. I'm a little concerned now, though. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm getting concerned about Oregon. Aside from Jackson Shelstead starting to play good. Nate Biddle looks like a first team All-American. But then there's times where I want the guy to just demand the ball, dude. Go out there and be that guy. And when he is, Oregon is almost unbeatable. But there's so many times where he shies away from being that dude, and that's what concerns me about Oregon. But I agree with you guys, man. It's wide open. Buff, the UCSD play, I don't hate it. We're gonna learn a lot about that team tonight against Irvine. That's gonna be a hell of a fucking game. Those are the 2 best teams in the Big West, in my opinion, and. If the Big West it shouldn't be a one-bid league because I think both those teams are NCAA tournament teams, but only one of those teams is going to get in. So this game's going to be massively important tonight.
Yep. I circled it to watch it. It's on ESPN Plus. I circled that game to watch later on tonight.
I was going to say, unfortunately for
Jordan,
you guys,
I like this Oregon team too a little bit. I think they could be somewhat of a sleeper. Listen, I know they ranked 14th or 15th right now, right?
Yeah.
But dude, watching them get absolutely beat down by Illinois the other night was disheartening.
Yes.
They got absolutely boat raced.
Yep.
They were never in that game from opening tip to final whistle. They were never in that game. But I did they came back after getting blown out by 40. Nice win at home versus Maryland. I think it was Maryland, right?
Yep.
And then they went on the road. And in an ultimate letdown spot at the Buckeyes, came back and win that game.
Yep.
So in a spot where you saw all of Twitter was on Ohio State.
Yeah.
They were an absolute lock to win that game. But yeah, I mean I don't hate the Oregon play.
Me neither.
If they cut down the nets, would it surprise me? Yeah, it would probably surprise me a little bit, but it wouldn't be absolutely mind-boggling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, one thing I love about Oregon is I think Dana Altman is a top 5 coach in the country. I mean, we've seen what he done. Oregon should have won the national title in 2017. They would have if Chris Boucher didn't get hurt in the Final Four. They would have won it all. Like that was the best team in the
Very
country at the time.
Yeah, very underrated. I agree with you. I think Altman's one of the top 5 coaches in college basketball. Doesn't get enough credit. 100% agree with that.
And the other thing too about Dana Altman is his teams never peak until March. So the fact that they were playing as good as they were in November and December was surprising to me because I was expecting them to like slowly but surely get better because they added a lot of pieces this offseason too, like Supreme Cook, Raheem Moss,
Yeah.
a ton of guys that weren't there last year. So I expect them to get better and better. But I mean, when you talk about let's flip it over. Let's talk about teams that you thought were going to be good that now you're kind of like, man, they got a lot of issues and very disappointing.
Yeah.
How about Syracuse to start? I thought
No.
Syracuse would be halfway decent. All
Why?
jokes aside,
Why?
I thought they would be all right.
I mean, I thought they'd be okay, maybe average in the middle of the pack, but I mean, we hit the transfer portal hard. I mean, we have so many new players this year, and we got 2 brand new freshmen, Elijah Moore and Donnie Freeman, who are brand new to the team. There's only one guy or 2 guys, JJ Starling and Bell, that both have experience playing on the team. And that's one thing that you're seeing so far early in the season. They have no continuity. They're trying to get used to playing with each other, and we started off so slow. And I think they just kind of they lost some of their confidence. And I think the potential to be, in the middle of the ACC, I agree with that. But I didn't think that we were going to be great this year. I didn't have Syracuse very high.
Two teams I'll bring up real quick that, in my personal opinion, are absolutely dead in the water. And Jordan, I'm curious to see where you stand here. I know you're like the ultimate hoops guy. You follow all every conference and up till 4:00 in the morning every night. So you should know. Kansas and Houston are 2 teams that I am extremely low on. Both have shown over the course of the last couple of weeks that they have tons of holes. Both, in my opinion, are the types of teams that wouldn't surprise me to see them lose opening weekend of March Madness. Your opinion, Jordan?
I like Houston. I'll never count Kelvin Sampson out at all. I think that's a good team, and I think they struggled a little bit in Vegas. You saw, they lost to Auburn, lost to Bama, lost to San Diego State. That's 3 really good teams, man. Like those aren't bad teams. And then they just railed off 7 games in a row, including BYU, and they dismantled TCU. Like that game was never close. So I think they had struggles, but they also dealt with a lot of injuries too to start the year. You got to take that into consideration as well. But I mean, I like Houston, man, and I really like Kelvin Sampson, dude. So it's really hard for me to get there to say Houston's dead.
You can't sit here and tell me that TCU win is impressive. Like TCU is not a good team.
I don't think it's like an impressive win, but I mean, like the way they dismantled them, I think that like blowing them out, I think that shows that they're more focused. I mean, I like this team, bro. Like I really do. Emmanuel Sharp's really good. Terrence Arsenault's taking a step forward. It's hard for me to call any Kelvin Sampson team dead. I agree with you on Kansas, so I just think there's so much talent on that team for them to be as bad as they are. It's shocking to me how bad they are. They have been playing well lately though, at UCF, but UCF's kind of been a disappointment too, if we're keeping it honest. And,
Yeah. Don't talk about. I was on UCF that game. I was so mad.
And we'll see how they do today at
we
Cincy.
I think North Carolina.
Can we talk real quick? Can we talk real quick about this Florida Gators team? Like,
oh man,
what? Yo, I can't believe I didn't mention them this Florida team. It like reminds me of like the Al Horford teams where like they were just so dominant. Like, I mean, I'm almost at the point where it's like give them the national championship now. I mean, they are in like March Madness form, ready to roll, steamrolling good teams. Like set up the other day, put them in a bad spot, still fucking blow Tennessee out.
Yep.
Like, man, like I didn't see this coming preseason. I wasn't as high on Florida coming into the year I'd have them a notch or two below from where they're playing now, preseason. But man, after watching them play, they're a top they are a top 2 team in the country right now, without a doubt.
Yeah, they're good.
One thing I noticed when you watch them is they're so well coached. I mean, their half court execution, the sets and the plays that they run in the half court, you can just tell. I mean, they're very well coached. They're loaded with talent, like Joey said. They get up and down the floor. They can beat you in the half court, or if you want to play fast pace, they can beat you in that type of game too. They got the big 7-footer down there in the paint that causes all kinds of problems. I mean, I agree with Joey. I mean, it's very rare that you see a team that's gelling like this in December and January. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm with Joey. I mean, I'm happy that I got the future. By the way, Jordan, I just looked. 35-1 was what I got on Michigan. I took them during that holiday tournament. When I started watching Michigan during the holiday tournament is when I put it in. I think in the beginning of the year it was like 45-1, but I got 35-1.
It's a good number. What are they down to now? Like 2-1? Or I'm sorry,
Michigan?
Yeah, what are they down to? Like 10-1?
Oh, yeah, I don't know. It's probably.
It's got to be at least 10-1.
No, it's got to be a little bit more than that, you would think. But another thing to talk about too is you talked about failures. I think people probably had a little more higher expectations for North Carolina this year.
Yes.
They got a lot of talent. They hit the transfer portal. They brought in 3 5-star recruits. Hey, North Carolina looks terrible. I don't know what's going on with them. They're not getting good guard play from Godone or from RJ Davis. They're struggling to shoot the ball from the perimeter. I don't know, man. I think North Carolina would probably be up there on my list of teams that I thought were going to be a lot better than what they are.
The most shocking thing about North Carolina to me too is like when we think of North Carolina, especially like Roy Williams coach North Carolina teams, what do they do well? They always dominated the glass, especially the offensive glass. They do not do that at all
Big
now.
time.
They absolutely fucking get killed on the glass every game, and that's shocking to me. We do have some comments in the chats. Sobe says Arkansas sucks. That is another disappointing team is the Arkansas Razorbacks. I'm starting to think, Kentucky fans were glad to get rid of Calipari, dude. And Arkansas fans embraced him like he was the next GOAT. It's like, I think his days are over. I think he's lost his fastball. I think, even at Kentucky, I thought the offense was very archaic the last 5 years. And nothing seemed to change in Arkansas. It might be time for Calipari to hang him up.
Dude, there is zero hustle out of that Arkansas team.
Yeah.
Zero. I've watched a few of their games. It's like the kids just show up and go through the motions. Yep. Like because they're at Arkansas, they almost expect like shots are just supposed to make, like they're supposed to hit shots, like win games easily, blah blah blah. The last 2 or 3 games I've watched, they are less than a mediocre team. They suck.
Yeah,
they suck. That Arkansas team is trash.
Yeah. They were just on the other night. Didn't they lose on the road to somebody by 7 or 8 points? Or who they just lose to?
Yeah, zero hustle.
Yeah,
no, they lost at home to Ole Miss.
Me and Clint were talking about it.
They lost at home to who?
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss.
That's right. That's right. Yep.
In a game where like Arkansas was kind of sort of like a sharp spot.
Yep.
Saw tons of respected guys on them. And once again, they just come out flat and they don't show up. They don't finish games. They don't close. Nope. They don't defend the perimeter. They don't play well. Team sucks.
Yeah, they don't do anything
Arkansas
well.
Yeah.
They don't do anything well. Yeah, that's another team. Another disappointing team, too, that I want to mention is, and this is a recently disappointing team, is UCLA, man. Like, I'm over there watching Mick Cronin on the sidelines, and my guy looks like he's ready to have a stroke, dude. Like, he is not having fun at all.
He got 2 techs thrown out the game, and then he dropped a bomb on the whole team in the press conference after the game. He was just like, he's really upset with the effort that he's getting from those kids. That's for sure.
Oh, dude, he.
I missed tip. I missed the tip in the Maryland game. Of course, loved Maryland all day. Forget about it. And in a spot where like most people expect UCLA to bounce back, I was like the exact opposite. Expected exactly what we saw. Maryland to dominate them. And of course, what happens?
I mean,
UCLA gets blown the fuck out. And I have not $1 on it.
I mean, to be fair,
they lay their head.
It was a close game until he got the double tech, and then they had a 6-point possession. It was kind of over after that.
That's another team that lays their hat on defense. They're a great defensive team, but I just don't think they have enough weapons on the other side of the ball to score points and keep up with some of the better teams in college basketball. They play great defense. They don't give up a lot of points, and I think Cronin has been like that for a long time. But and the way that the basketball is played now, you got 6'10" and 7 foot guys that are out there shooting threes, and they're mobile. They can move around. You got pick and pops and high screens, and I mean, UCLA, their offense to me in half court, they just doesn't look good, and they don't score a lot of points, and I think that's going to hurt them.
Yep.
They're another team that very possibly could lose to a 12 or a 13 seed opening weekend of March Madness for sure.
Absolutely.
They might not even get in the tournament at this rate, though. If they keep losing at this pace.
Yeah, I never even thought that was a possibility until watching them sleepwalk through Maryland. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be shocked to see them not make it.
I almost think Mick Cronin's lost the locker room a little bit. Like he benched what's his face, Sebastian Mack yesterday, and played Trent Perry, the true freshman. And I mean, he's just like, at this point, he's like, yo, if you guys give me effort, I'm gonna play you, and if you don't, I don't care if you're a 5-star making $2 million NIL, like you're not playing. And so we'll see what happens. But I one thing you mentioned earlier, Buff, about Wisconsin that I really respect about Greg Gard is like Greg Gard has been like very stubborn to his like style of play for so many years, right? And he's finally adapted to like modern basketball. And this is what I've been like yelling for Randy Bennett to do at St. Mary's. Like he like refuses to run modern offense, dude. Like he literally like tells his players, even on a fast break, like pull the ball out, run clock, run your half court offense. It's like, bro, get easy buckets, man. Especially if you're like a good defensive team, because you could turn defense to offense so quick. And that's what Michigan State's doing this year too. Michigan State leads the country in fast break points. And they can't shoot the three if their life depended on it. But they're putting up like 70.
Dude, another team.
Big.
Holy shit. If they start hitting threes, State can make a run.
Yeah, for sure. And that's another thing with college. Like you said, that's another thing, Jordan, with college basketball, the way the game is played now. I mean, a lot of coaches and teams are realizing that, because of the 3-point shooting, play a faster tempo, you get second chance points, you get rebounds off those 3-pointers because it's always a rebound that comes out far away from the rim. I mean, teams are just starting to adapt to the way that basketball is played now. Some of these old coaches that have been around forever, they just don't want to get out of their style. And, they get the ball across half court and then they slow it down and they use the shot clock. And, it's just college basketball is not being played like that anymore.
Yep. 100% agree. All right, let's hop into Let's hop into the games today. Buff, let's start with you. What games have you circled that you're looking at?
One game that I took already that I like is Georgia. I like Georgia today. -6, -6.5, somewhere around there. Coming off a really good win against Kentucky. This team, Georgia, they play really good at home. A lot better offense and defense efficiency numbers according to Shot Quality and KenPom. Their numbers are better at home. They're a top 10 team in college basketball, offensive rebounding. Oklahoma, I don't know, man. I just feel like they're just not gelling very good. I'm not really happy with what I've been seeing from Oklahoma. They blew that huge lead just recently against Texas A&M when Texas A&M was without their best player. Yeah, I mean, they don't shoot great from the perimeter. Also, Georgia, pretty good as far as defense efficiency numbers guarding the perimeter. Georgia's at home today. I think it's a good spot for Georgia. I think they win and cover this number against A&M.
Interesting. Yeah, I like that Georgia team. Asa Newell's he's legit.
He's really good.
And I was on Oklahoma versus Texas A&M, and I got a really good number, and it didn't even matter. I knew once they cut the lead to 11, I was like, oh, I can't wait to see how Oklahoma fucking blows this. And of course they did.
Yeah. Me and Joey have this conversation every single day on the phone, man. The CLV thing is just out the window, man. It doesn't really matter. You get so many good. Yeah, of course it matters when you're making a bet that you want to get -2 instead of -4.
Yeah.
But it just, so many times you think to yourself, man, I'm on the right side of this bet. The line's going against the other team. I'm getting good value, and then like you said, Jordan, you get to the final score and it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I'm to the point where it's like if I am against the number, if I get like a bad number, I'm more confident that I'm gonna win. Like the other night,
You-
I had
Dude, you literally took the words out of my mouth. I'm
You
at the
feel
point
more
I don't even want the best number anymore.
yeah.
right. I feel
Like,
more
that's how
comfortable if it's
That's
like
how I
Jordan
feel,
said. Like Jordan said, I feel more comfortable if it's going
Yeah.
against me.
The other
I
night
don't even want the best number anymore.
the other night I was on UC San Diego minus 15 against Cal Poly. It closed minus 12.5, and UC San Diego won by 23. And I even tweeted out in the morning, I was like, I got a shitty number. I woke up and the number moved 2.5 points against me, and I was like, I don't even fucking care. Now it's like the other way. If I get a good number, except Oregon, I got plus 3.5 or plus 4 against Ohio State. It closed 2, and I was a little worried before tip. I was like, oh shit. Joey Cheese, what are you looking at?
I got 4 play. Hold on, I'll give you one more. I got 4 plays. We'll talk about 2 more after.
Yeah.
Another one, since we were just all talking about it, and Jordan and Joey both mentioned about the opposite team here. I like Cincinnati. Cincinnati's at home today. They're getting 1.5 points against Kansas. I think it's a really tough spot for Kansas. I have not been impressed, like Joey mentioned earlier. I have not been impressed with what I've seen from Kansas. Cincinnati, they're going to slow this game way down. They don't want to play fast. They know that they won't beat Kansas if it's a fast tempo game. Cincinnati's pretty decent in the half court. Their offense efficiency numbers actually in half court offense, their offense efficiency numbers are pretty similar to Kansas, and they're even better when Cincinnati's playing on their home court. I think this is a tough spot. Kansas coming in here on the road. I like Cincinnati at home, so I took plus 1.5 with Cincinnati. So those are 2 plays that I'll give: Cincinnati plus 1.5, Georgia minus 6.5.
Dang, you got a good number there,
Nice.
Buff. It's a pick now, basically everywhere.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's.
I mean, we can say it's a pick now. That's fine. I mean, I put all these in on FanDuel this morning, and obviously it's been a couple hours. So,
Yeah.
but that's good that the line. Never mind. That's terrible. That means the line's going with me. That's terrible. I want the other.
Yeah, you're dead. You might as well rip that up.
Yeah, right. Exactly, Joey.
Yeah.
So those are two that I like.
Nice. So dude, like we were just talking about getting good numbers and whatnot, dude. So I'm at the point where I'm no longer betting college basketball until day of. I did look at some spots. Being fully transparent, I have nothing in as of right now, but we could talk about a few spots that I'm looking at that if I get to the window, obviously, as always, I will tweet out. I have a strong lean to Richmond at home this afternoon versus URI. Just like we talked about in one of the games earlier, I think it's a spot where everyone expects URI to bounce back after getting beat by George Washington the other night. Wouldn't be surprised to see Richmond pull the upset at home.
Damn, that
I
Richmond
had
team's
a
so
opinion
bad.
on
Jeez.
St. Joe's at home versus Loyola, Illinois, a team that I think is really really falling off the face of the map here, losing 4 out of 5. St. Joe's, on the other hand, has lost 2 in a row. I think it's a good bounce back spot for St. Joe's. There were a couple others I had peeked at that I had on my list. Another one, Bradley on the road at UIC. I have a strong lean to UIC here.
Okay.
Bradley, although being 14-3 or whatever they are, not a team I'm super excited to back on the road. Just I watched that game versus Drake. There was one more I had on my list in the earlier window. Butler. I like Butler at home, losing 8 in a row. I think it's a good spot for them to get a dub versus Creighton, a team that I was pretty high on coming into the season. My opinion has since changed. And there was another one. Oh, I like Belmont on the road a little bit at Indiana State. I think it's a good spot for Belmont to get a win here.
I like the over in
And
that
also St. Bonaventure. Go ahead, Jordan. What?
I like the over in Indiana State Belmont.
Yeah, I don't really hit totals, man. For me, it's like flipping a coin for myself personally. Another spot I was going to dive into a little bit of here after the show. St. Bonaventure in a pretty big bounce back spot at home versus LaSalle after getting their shit pushed in the second half for St. Louis.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are games I have on my radar. Did you guys happen to look at any of those?
I agree with the LaSalle one. I watched that game the other night because we had Sister Jean and we actually cashed that ticket pretty easily. They pulled away from LaSalle and won that and covered very easily. I think LaSalle is terrible. I agree with that. I would fade LaSalle, and that's a good bounce back spot for the Bonnies.
Yeah, the Richmond game, I lean Rhode Island there. I really like this Rhode Island team. I think they're like hard grit. I love the way Archie Miller coaches. And Richmond is a team that I would not back, but I haven't got to the window on that one. And I get your handicap of it. Like, everyone's obviously gonna want to back Rhode Island off losing against George Washington, but I kind of think the market's undervalued George Washington, because I know I have. George Washington coming off 2 huge wins against Dayton and against Rhode Island. I think that they're just better than we thought they were. So I don't know, because I'm still really high on that Rhode Island team, dude. I think they bounce back and win this game. And if you're giving me a possession or less, I would take the possession.
Full transparency in that game. So URI is my wife's alma mater.
Okay.
And when we watch their games and I bet against them, she likes doing her stupid little URI basketball chant shit that they do. Rhody, 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 Rams, Rams, Rams. And I want to throw her out the fucking window when I bet against them. She does that.
Does she get the pom? Does she dress up and get the pom poms out and all that too, or what?
Yeah. That was Ashley's alma mater, so she obviously prefers when we are rooting for them. So yeah, I haven't gotten to the window there yet, but Richmond's a spot I like there. So
it was a tough night in our house last night. Lori went to Quinnipiac. She's an alma mater Quinnipiac girl basketball, and big fan of Quinnipiac. And of course, I'm a big GMAC. Jerry McNamara coaches at Siena now. So we were watching that on ESPN Plus last night, and Quinnipiac destroyed GMAC and Siena last night. That was pretty ugly.
Siena did get back in the game a little bit. I mean, they were down by
a little bit in the second half.
Yeah, they were down.
Yeah,
by
they were. They were down by 20 plus.
It was like, that shit was ugly. Nice. Couple games that I've already bet. I bet Illinois minus 13.5 against USC. This USC team just fucking stinks, dude. And I'm a USC guy, and so me willing to say that USC is that bad tells you a lot. The team is constructed like a Rucker Park street team in the fucking early 2000s, just not a very good fucking team. So I like Illinois minus 13.5 there. I like George Mason to bounce back, minus 11.5. I think this George Mason team is really good. I think they play really fucking tough defense. So I like George Mason there. I like San Diego State catching 4 points against New Mexico at the Pit. A lot of people are going to fade San Diego State here on the road, but, San Diego State's a really good, well-coached team. Brian Dutcher, almost an entire new roster. Miles Byrd has really stepped up. And in New Mexico, they don't have any depth, dude. They play like 6 guys. I don't know if they're going to be able to beat San Diego State by more than a possession. And then I also like Montana minus 2 against Northern Colorado, Big Sky. This is the 2 best teams in the Big Sky, in my opinion. Montana's at home. So I like Montana there minus the 2 points. That's what I've played so far. I also like St. John's today, minus 7. I think that's a good spot.
I was just going to bring them up.
Or minus 6.5, I think they're at. That's a good spot there. And then UCSD versus Irvine. Big game tonight in the Big West. I mean, this might be the best game of the day that no one is going to talk about. I think getting more than one possession is way too much. I think these 2 teams are very even. So if you're giving me 5.5, 6 points, I'm going to take it with Irvine. I really like this UCSD team. I like both teams, to be honest, but I think getting more than a possession is too much.
I'm with you on San Diego State. I have it circled, and I'm probably going to get to the window with San Diego State. I definitely like the spot today.
Let's go Aztecs. That's a good team, man. No one thought I thought the Aztecs were going to take a step back this year, but man, Brian Dutcher, guy's an incredible coach, man. He is an incredible.
Jordan, did you say you like UC Irvine or UC San Diego?
I like Irvine plus the points because I think it's going to be a one possession game. So if you're giving me 2 possessions, I'm going to take it. There's no way UCSD blows out Irvine, dude. No way.
I strongly agree. What worries me is 12 of those wins in a row from UC San Diego.
Yep.
Quite a few of they've been blowing teams out, dude. They've blown some teams out in
Sure
spots
have.
where I didn't even expect them to win.
They're dangerous. They're dangerous, man. They got all kinds of shooters on that team. They got 3-4 decent guys that come off the bench. They've been very, very impressive. And I'm not a big out west kind of guy, but I've been paying attention to them. And actually, one of my friends in the group chat is the one who told me about putting a future in on them because he told me that, he follows that conference pretty good. And yeah, they're really good. I mean, I understand what Jordan's saying, but if they get hot, they can blow Irvine out.
Yeah, the one thing
dude, they're a team. They're a team that they're making 11 threes a game, dude.
yeah,
Like,
and shooting
never
over,
in a million years did I ever see that coming from this squad. Or they
shooting over 40%.
Yeah, they're like 15-2 or some bullshit.
Yeah,
they've won 12 in a row. That team is filthy.
Though the one thing that does concern me though is like I do think that they have some shooting regression coming their way at some point. And UC Irvine's one of the best teams at defending the 3, which I think is going to give them a lot of trouble. And the other thing is Anawat Tate Jones. He's usually a mismatch nightmare for teams because he's like a 6'7" point guard. But UC Irvine has Devin Tillis that can guard him. Devin Tillis is also 6'7", long, stretchy wings. So I think that UC Irvine actually matches up very well with UC San Diego. So I think this is like I'm not saying UC San Diego won't win. I just think it's getting 2 possessions. I think that's way too many.
Yeah. So you guys gave out a bunch, so I'll give out my other 2. The other 2 that I like tonight, I like Arizona State. I think it's a good spot for them. Baylor on the road, Arizona State at home, getting 5.5. I don't know. Something tells me in this spot that Arizona State's going to hang. They're going to, they got decent guys that are down in the paint that can, bang up against some of Baylor's big men. Baylor has not shot the ball from the perimeter as good when they're on the road. Hurley, decent coach. Arizona State, another team that really I thought would be a little bit better this year. I think it's a good spot for Arizona State playing against Baylor. I think a lot of people are going to be on Baylor and, 5.5. I think for a home game in conference, that's a good bet for me. And then Texas Tech on the money line. I love Texas Tech today. One of my favorite plays. Had this circled throughout the week. I know Iowa State is dangerous, but so is Texas Tech, and especially at home. They're shooting the 3 ball really good this year. Texas Tech, I don't know. They got some decent guys in the paint. I probably is going to own that portion of it, but I think playing at home and the way that they've been shooting the ball, one of the better teams in college basketball with 3-point shooters. They got 4 or 5 guys that are all shooting the 3 ball pretty well. This is a good spot for me. So I took Texas Tech on the money line. I think it's like -1. I took them on the money line. So Texas Tech on the money line, Arizona State +5, Cincinnati +1.5, and Georgia -6.5 would be the 4 plays that I like. And then if you want to talk about totals, I don't care what the number is. I think that Alabama game is going to go over tonight.
Yeah.
They push pace. They force the other team to play fast. Both of those teams have decent shooters. When I saw anything below 160, I thought that it was too low. I think that Alabama game, I think it's 159.5. I'm high on the way that Alabama plays, the way that they force the other team to get out of their style and play the same style that Alabama wants to play. Up-tempo game. All we need is 160. Bama can score 80 or 90 on their own if they're shooting decent. So that was another one that I like. I'm going to probably play that. I haven't put it in yet, but I'm going to. The over in the Alabama game.
I feel the same way with the Cal Poly UC Santa Barbara game tonight. I don't care what the total is. It could be 180, and I think that thing's going to go over. So you could play that over at any number. That's going to be a very, very high-scoring game there, the blue and green. rivalry in Cal Poly.
And then
Yeah,
the only
Jordan.
other question I had was for Joey. Joey, I think UConn smacks the shit out of Georgetown today. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean at -5, it would be UConn or pass for me there. Obviously, not a game I got involved in for a few reasons. I don't like the way they looked the other night versus Villanova. They looked lackluster on offense. They weren't switching on pick and rolls on defense. I'm probably gonna stay away from this UConn team until Liam McNeely comes back. But
When's
yeah, I
he
certainly would never
when's he coming back? Jeez.
go ahead.
When's he coming back? Do you know?
Hurley said he expects him gone for a month.
Oh shit.
So I mean, we're still probably 3 weeks away from seeing him.
Fuck.
A spot that I was so yeah, I mean it would be UConn or pass for me. I'm never backing Georgetown in that spot, but not a game I got involved in. I did want to look at I had it circled to look at. I don't know if the market just moved because of money or if there was an injury for Columbia. But a game that I had circled is Cornell on the road at Columbia. I think this Cornell team could win this game.
Yep.
I liked them last night when I looked at it. They were +1.5, and I just opened up my sports book, and they are now 1-point favorites. So I don't know if someone got ruled out for Columbia or if the market just really likes Cornell in this spot also. But full transparency with the line move, probably won't get to the window now with Cornell. I don't like when everybody is on my side. So
Oh my
Yep.
goodness.
I haven't seen Columbia play yet this year.
they are a fun team to watch.
A true
Cornell
contrarian
plays fast.
cheeses.
Go ahead, Jordan.
I said a true contrarian that cheeses.
100%.
Yep.
100%.
I like when everyone likes the opposite side, not my side.
Yep. I think things have changed now.
But yeah,
though.
that was the last game I have an opinion on. That's an early tip here back home. So
Another one me and Jordan talked about before we went live and before Joey came on. I think Nevada scrapes the floor with Fresno State tonight. I know it's -12, -12.5. And I don't usually like to lay that amount of points on the road, but Fresno State is terrible. Nevada, I was kind of high on this team in the beginning of the season. I like the guys that they brought in from the transfer portal. They got depth. They place 3-4 guys off the bench. Nevada talent wise is just so much better than Fresno State. I think they smacked the floor with Fresno tonight. So I'm going to dig into it a little bit deeper and I'll post it if I play it, but I think I'm going to be on Nevada -12, 12.5 tonight. I think they're going to destroy Fresno.
Yep. I agree there.
I haven't watched either of those teams play.
They need the win terribly bad too. Like they're 0-3 in conference play. I mean, at this point, their season's basically over. They're gonna have to win the Mountain West tournament to get into the NCAA tournament. But man, I watch a lot of Nevada hoops. Man, that team is very disappointing. Kobe Sanders, the transfer from Cal Poly, I followed him extensively. He's from San Diego, and I'm big on a lot of high school basketball here west too. So it's a team I follow very closely. Man, I'm very disappointed in them. Very disappointed. Steve Alford, terrible job this year. But
with a team, from my understanding, that actually has a bunch of talent too.
Yeah, Nevada, like Buff said, dude, very talented team. I mean,
loaded.
Yeah, they got a lot. I mean, they lost their two best scorers from last year, but I mean, they brought in Xavier Dussel, who was one of the leading scorers from Fresno State last year, and then Kobe Sanders. He averaged 24 points a game last year. So I mean, they reloaded with more talent. It's just they haven't been able to put it together, and they looked like they did in South Carolina in that MTE. They beat VCU. They beat the brakes off Oklahoma State, and then they just haven't been able to put it all together. It's fucking crazy.
I was just gonna say they looked really good and destroyed Oklahoma State.
Yeah. Any thoughts from either of you on San Francisco and Santa Clara?
No.
Two more teams I haven't spent a lot of time watching. Not a game I'd be interested in getting involved in personally.
Me neither.
I want to play Santa Clara, but I hate playing teams. I hate backing teams coming off overtime games. Never ends well. So
Another one I got.
I would be interested, Jordan, in seeing a stat on that.
Yeah, I don't know I should probably keep that track of that. But I feel like every time a team plays overtime, they never cover the next game. Because I know in football it's like that.
I'd be interested in seeing a stat on that.
Yeah, I'm gonna start tracking it. What were you saying, Buff?
Fuck it, right?
Another one I circled that I haven't dug into 100% yet. Oklahoma State travels to Utah tonight. Utah, another team that has been really struggling,
Yeah,
but they have the potential to put up a lot of points. They got some really good 3-point shooters. They play a faster tempo. To me, when I looked at this number and I saw 152, 153, I thought that number might be too low. I'm going to dig into it a little bit more, but I'm kind of liking the over in Utah and Oklahoma State. Both of those teams, they play kind of fast.
yeah,
They turn the ball over, which leads to some easy baskets on the other end. Both teams, I think, from what I looked at, are decent free throw shooting teams. Utah is shooting an absolute ton of threes each game. They're shooting like 30, 35 3-pointers a game. I mean, that number to me, when I saw it, it kind of stuck out like it was kind of low. But I'm gonna dive into it a little bit more. But I might end up getting to the window, taking the over in Utah and Oklahoma State as well.
nice. I like that one. The over in Belmont, Indy State is 172 now.
Oh my gosh!
And I can see that game go. I can see that game hitting 200.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think that game's
It's funny you bring. It's funny you bring that up because I think I've given out, I think 2 totals this entire season, and when I looked at that, I said, "Wow, this." I wouldn't be shocked if this number hits 200. I might actually get to the window there, Jordan.
Yeah, I like that over. Just like Buff was talking about with Bama, like I think the way Indy State plays, they just play so fast, and Belmont is so efficient. So if you put fast and efficient together, I mean, it just leads to a ton of fucking points. So I could definitely see that being
Great.
like a game in the 90s for sure.
As long as Joey's not shooting the threes, we're all right.
Yeah, right. You seeing videos of me at the Garden? Slow down, slow down. I bang threes for fun. Cool.
Love it.
All right. Well, that was good, Jordan. Hey, thanks.
Yes.
Thanks, man, for putting this together, dude. You've done a really good job with all this, and
Yeah.
I appreciate you asking me and Buff to join you.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to see what we could do here.
Yes.
Maybe find some winners week to week moving forward.
100%.
Yeah.
Woke up at 6
We gave out a
a.m.
lot
this
of good
morning for
information.
this.
Talked about a lot of different games. We talked about some conferences and some futures, and yeah, I mean, I love talking college basketball. So when Jordan came up with the idea of putting this together, I was definitely all in. And then when he told me about Joey, then I went to church and I prayed on it for a little bit, and God told me that I'd be okay with Joey for just 1 hour. So now that this is only a 1 hour show, we're okay. Now I can I can enjoy the rest of my day. So.
And
I told Ashley, I was like, Ash, I'm gonna do a hoop show. My buddy Jordan that lives out west, and Buffy, and she was like, "Oh wow, doesn't Buff suck at hoops?" And I was like, Ash, that's not nice.
Yeah.
You shouldn't talk about your friend like that. And
that's good. I'm
she
glad.
was like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
She's got the same mentality as you. That's two wonderful people. That's great.
yeah, my whole objective
guys.
was I wanted to get the East Coast and West Coast because college basketball is so big, right? So if you got people that focus on the East Coast and people that focus on the West Coast, you can get like a lot of good information, dude. So I'm glad you guys hopped on, man, and I'm looking forward to this, and I appreciate both of you. Follow Jeff at JBuff73. Follow Cheese at Mr. Joey Cheese on Twitter. We'll catch y'all guys on Wednesday. Have a blessed weekend. We'll see y'all later. Peace.
Peace.